Um, the last two recordings I did, I made a funny joke to start the video. Something about crying about Gojo and Emily beating me to power ranks. Something about how I'm about to fucking murder this division. This time, I'm just gonna say, the first time I stopped recording because I didn't record the whole screen, and I didn't realize until... Actually, I realized really quickly. I didn't even start talking about the first team yet. The second time, I needed to check something on Showdown, opened Showdown, and leaked my whole team for week 1. This time, don't worry about it, guys. Let me open Showdown. Oh, there's Tangrowth from last time. I ended up searching what I needed. Look, I deleted my team and I sent the Poke Paste to people. It's not your business. So yeah, we're revving, we're ready to go. Same deal as last time if you watched that video, but if you didn't, left column is the teams in order based on biggest score in the rubric to lowest score. Teams, the score they got. And then on the right is my own personal opinion, because just because you do really good on the rubric doesn't mean I'm going to really like your team, and vice versa. So let's start at the bottom, who got bottom for both personal opinion and on the rubric, Big Pharma. Now, Emily and Gojo said this team has a great offensive duo with brilliant defensive mons. And although at first glance that makes a lot of sense, I disagree. Mega Metacham and Chine Pao, sure it fits out Dark Psychic fighting, but they're both physically offensive Pokemon, meaning when this team needs special offense for its actually offensive core, it's relying on something like Specs Sylveon or Carmine Sylveon, Trick Room Glow King, spamming like Torch Song Skeledirge, and don't get me wrong, all of those are viable special threats, but when you're forcing your defensive Pokemon to be offensive, they're not going to be as good as if you had just picked up something born to be offensive. And furthermore, none of these fuckers are fast enough to effectively be offensive every week anyway. Sure, the mind game of which of my tanks is going to be a threat this week is cool and all, but like, it's unnecessary. Especially when a Pokemon like Empoleon is here, and I don't think Empoleon is great on this team. I get it, it's the Steel type, it's the Water type. But why do you have this tanky mon? I get Glow King and Tangrowth, that's your Regenerator core. I get Sylveon, it's your Cleric. And I get Skeledirge, it's your Unaware mon. What the fuck is Empoleon doing here? It's your Water Steel hazard removal. Why is Empoleon your hazard removal? Sure, Altari is here, but tell me how many games Altari is coming to. Not many. You can say fucking... What's that thing even called? Omastar. You could say Omastar is your big special threat. Again, how many games is it coming to? Probably not too many. Even if it clicks at Shell Smash, it's a lot more counterable than, say, Cloyster. I get it, Cloyster's usually physical, maybe mixed, but you get the point I'm making. And Slacking ain't doing shit either. Don't get me wrong, Mega Metacham, Chine Pao, crazy offensive duo. But only physically offensive. Specially offensive, this team has nothing. If you just bring a good enough physical tank to be able to deal with the both of those, the team is dead. Like that. I mean, sure they might have to chip you down with these 5 Pokemon, or I'd say 4 because I'm gonna keep on the Empoleon slander. But like, other than that, other than like those 4 chipping down physical tanks, those Pokemon aren't going to break through if the physical tankiness is good enough. Another thing I would like to point out, I guess this thing gets Teleport, this thing gets Baton Pass, but how are you even bringing these two in? Are you going to sacrifice one of your tanks to be able to get one of your 2 offensive Pokemon in? So, by the looks of it, you're not even going to get to use any of your fucking offense without sacrificing your beautiful defensive core. Oh my god. I'm personally not a fan. The Terror type Ghost is alright because you get rid of your fighting 4 times, so that's actually good use of Terror. But other than that, I can't get behind this team. The defensive core is good, but the offensive core is so garbage that the rest of the team kind of falls behind. There's no good hazards either. Like, you have, Glow King and Polion. Okay. You have, a tiny bit of hazards. But your removal and Polion, so the same thing setting up the fucking rocks, and Altaria, which is not coming to many games. And with a Terror type, it's probably going to be more offensively run than defensively, although I just think it was PHARMA needing to put it on something. Anyways, I'll leave that there. I think you've received enough slander. Where is EINNOD? I think EINNOD's to the right. Yep, okay. Here we go. EINNOD. This team received last place in Emily and Gojo, and you're not safe from me either, bitch. Okay. This team... What did I hate about this team? Let me just have a look for a second. I do really like the offense of this team. I will be honest. I like the offense. Mega Gallade, Melmetal as a physical duo. And then you have Volcarona, Tornadus, and Regidrago, which you can run as your specially offensive squad. Yeah. I am down for that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. From there, let's have a look where this team plummets. Where does this team plummet? I'm trying to find the fucking issue I had. There's a lot of them. Hold on. I know how to help. Yeah! Stealing from Emily and Gojo! Alright, up to the top. What was the big problem? Hold on. Let me scroll across. Complete lack of hazard setting. Yeah, did I already say that? I think I've said that. Yeah, this team has no hazards. Kraydilly and Glimmet, they're not coming many weeks. They'll come once or twice a season. Glimmet especially not coming. Yep. That's said right there. And generally Pokemon that don't come throughout the season, yep, as I just said. This team absolutely does have the raw power to brute force through teams with Melmetal, Volcarona, Mega Gallade, and Screens. Misty Terrain is an interesting addition, as it does allow Volcarona and Melmetal to avoid status conditions, but also anti-synergy with Regidrago and Dusclops. Misty Terrain, that lowers dragon moves, doesn't it? I always just think it makes it so no status. I forget about the dragon debuff. Yeah, that does tend to be a little bit of a debuff then. A little bit of a debuff, but I don't think that's a massive debuff. I think you can get away with that anti-synergy. I think this team lost points for me, in the setting and removal. 'Cause again, I think I said this in the last one. You're allowed to have no hazards if you have brilliant hazard removal, because it puts you and your opponent on an even playing field, and vice versa. You're allowed to have really bad hazard removal if you have brilliant hazards, because again, it'll put you and your opponent on a level playing field. Unless they have really good rapid spin, then you're fucked. This team doesn't have either. Your removal is Finny... Tornadus might get defog, I don't know. But Finny Tornadus. And your setting is Kraydilly Glimmet. That is poor. this team's defense... Okay, here's something. You have Finny, which has no reliable recovery. Melmetal, no reliable recovery. Grimmsnarl, no reliable recovery. Dusclops, I think... Does that get reliable recovery? No, it usually uses rest, doesn't it? No reliable recovery. Regidrago, which likes to be at full health to be able to use moves like Dragon Energy. So you have all those Pokemon which would love reliable recovery, and they don't have it. So what do you do to give them reliable recovery? That's right! Excellent job! You give them Wish. What's this team's Wishmon? It doesn't fucking have one. I know that took me a long time to realise what was wrong with the team. That's probably a big one. You can't have defensive Pokemon like Finny. Melmetal's often offensive, but it can be like Acid Armor, Bulk shit. Grimmsnarl, Dusclops. You can't have those defensive Pokemon look at Wish and say, nah. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're gonna get chipped down when you do that shit. And I don't think the team is generally fast enough to be able to get away with their fastest Pokemon, other than, like, what, Tornadus? Tornadus is mid. Mega Gallade, your big offensive threat, to be 110 base. Most teams are going to have something faster than 110 base. I can already see 116, 125. This is a rain team, it gets away with it. 121, I know Cyclizar shouldn't really count because it doesn't do much damage, but you know. This thing is just Priority Demon, but also 121. Okay, this team is 142, I think. I don't remember your speed, but I know it's higher. Like, even on just this page alone, everything has something faster than 110. I think I've been bashing on EINNOD for a while. Then again, I think half of that time was just trying to figure out what the fucking problem was. I really like the offense of this team, like Mega Gallade, Melmetal, Volcarona. I think the defense on the surface, you go, oh wow, that's pretty good. But in reality, no Wish with a bunch of defensive Pokemon that need reliable recovery is a bit of an issue. Also, why is Finny and Grimmsnarl paired together? Especially when two of them are your, like, defensive core of, like, 4 Pokemon. Well, why? You couldn't come up with a better fucking type to use? Like, you don't need you don't need to double them. I get they both do different things. Finny is, like, general bulk, can do some funky shit sometimes. And Grimmsnarl is, like, your screens, T-Wave, Taunt, Parting Shot. Does get Parting Shot, right? I'm not tripping. I think it does. Yeah. It was harder for me to bash on that team than PHARMA. As you can see, I actually think EINNOD's a little bit better than what the rubric gave him. But generally, problems. JYNX. Right here, the rain team. JYNX, you are an example of a bad weather team. I've said it, everyone. I have harped on about how I don't like weather all season, and then I gave who first place, because, yeah, shut up. But I gave Adam like average. You can see Gundham here is in third for both. But JYNX, what on earth is this team? Okay, the first thing that I think is notable, you have Garchomp Mega Swampert. Okay, I think the first thing you should pick when you're making a rain team is a Pokemon not at all related to the rain. Now you might think, what the fuck? Why? But it's simply because you have something that you can use outside of the rain, and it's your biggest threat. Your biggest threat is used outside of the rain, so that you can win games in the weather and out of the weather, which is what I said about Adam's team yesterday. You need to be able to win in and out of weather. And Garchomp isn't an anti-pick. but it makes Mega Swampert an anti-pick. How are your two biggest threats gonna be clicking Earthquake? Come on. If someone has a defensive grass type, cough cough, Big Pharma Tangrowth, but if someone has a good defensive grass type, you're fucked. You are fucked. Sure, you have Tornadus down here. Tornadus is also great. I don't know how it lasted that long, but it's also good. But Garchomp Mega Swampert as a duo, so bad. I can't get behind it. I cannot get behind it. Also, I really liked I'm Who's Sun Team because it had two fire types. 2 fire types is all you need. It's all you need, because if you start going for more and more, you're just overdoing it. You can go with like 4 fucking water types on a rain team on the OU ladder, because people aren't specifically preparing for rain teams. They're trying to prepare for the general population of the OU ladder. But in a draft league, people see you have 4 water types, and they're gonna exploit you for that. You want 1 to set the rain, 1 to do big damage, maybe a third one if you want physical big damage, special big damage. You don't need 4. You really just, you don't. Greninja isn't a Rainmon. That thing doesn't need to be here. Especially when you have Ferrothorn for rocks and spikes if you really want. Sure, Greninja gets T-spikes, but there are other Pokemon in the fucking league that have T-spikes. Pelipper's good because it sets the rain. Mega Swampert, if it wasn't Antimon with Garchomp, is good for the rain. And then Floatzel, you don't need 2 physical water types. Come on. Kingdra is perfectly alright. And if the problem was, I already have Dragon-type Garchomp, then what the fuck is Swampert doing there? Come on. Oh no. Drop Garchomp. Pick up something that makes a little bit more sense. We get a better electric type. You're a rain team and your electric type is Electrode. Are you really? Like, Zapdos would be perfectly okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with doubling up Pelipper and Zapdos. Sure, maybe you wouldn't run Tornadus then either, but like, there's other things in the tiers as well. Since this is first round, I'm gonna act as if everything is free. Let's just have a look. What here works on a rain team? Zeraora was taken at that point. If you want an offensive water type, Dracovish also works instead of Swampert. Regieleki is still free, does very similar to what Zapdos, to what Electrode does, but is faster, and is actually gonna come to games frequently. But then there are also things like Meowscarada wasn't taken at the time. That's a good grass type. Of course, you want to have Ferrothorn, but like, still, there's heaps of Pokemon here. Corvi is one. Goldengo didn't get picked. Wow. Galar, Zapdos, Goldengo. There are a lot of Pokemon. Sure, they might overlap with things you picked later, but as a first pick, you don't know they're going to overlap yet. Kyurem, Kingambit, Kartana. There's a lot of Pokemon you can pick to still have Mega Swampert and to still have a Dragon-type Able. I like how I said things that overlap after. No, I don't care about the fucking schedule. Teams! Okay. I think that's the gist of what's gone wrong here. This looks like your generic OU rain team, which is fine, but guess what? If your opponent knows how to prep, they're gonna fuck you. There's nothing you can do if your opponent knows how to prep for rain. Thank God you're in the lowest division, because they might not. Next we had Tabularasa. Is that how you pronounce it? It is now. Can I actually see this full team, please? There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Alright, Tabularasa. I'm just gonna point out the elephant in the room. What do you have 3 rock types for? Huh? Huh? You know what? Palafin, great Pokemon. And then you got Tapu Lele just to fuck up Jet Punch. Brilliant play there. It's a little bit better than King Gambit Tapu Lele. Actually, it probably isn't. It's probably worse. But, you know, whatever. And then you have 3 rock types. 3! Why? Did you want to have a sand team? Completely ignored the fact Exegil got taken by the person directly next to you. And then just went, fuck it, we'll just replace it with more rock types. What? What was the thought process when you made that decision? Tyranitar, great Pokemon, you can use it on its own, you don't even need Exegil for the sand. Like, you can have Tyranitar with nothing to help that sand thing. Glamora you can get away with because it's a hazard stack mon. Cleaver does pretty much what Tyranitar does. Might click like agility sword dance. Why are you gonna bring Cleaver over Tyranitar? Like, in which world? Unless, like, you have a week where Tyranitar is... No, but if Tyranitar is so bad, Cleaver's gonna be so bad. Unless you have a week where your opponent has no bug resists and everything is weak to bug. Like, you're versing some fucking grass mono team. In which world is Cleaver coming over Tyranitar? I don't know. I do not know. Maybe you bring both and just be like, haha, double offensive rock. But even then, it doesn't make sense. You don't need the 3 physical beasts of Cleaver, Tyranitar, and Palafin. This team... Usually people's first 5 mons are the I'm gonna make you shit your ever-loving pants, and the rest of them are either backup or they just fuck it from there. How have you had your better half of picking in your in the next 5 Pokemon? Not the first 5, the next 5. Superior goes great on this team. Oh my god, Superior with hazard stacks is brilliant. I think Gojo and Emily said it in theirs. This thing can switch in on default, get an evasion boost, and then just click Leaf Storm. It's Superior in on a hazard stack team is great. Galvantula, it gives you webs. Beautiful. Because now Palafin doesn't have to run like Scarf in any week. Not that it would, it can just click Jet Punch. But like now it's more comfortable. It's more comfortable. Tapu Lele, now it's more comfortable clicking Specs instead of Scarf. It doesn't do much for T-Tar, and I guess it does. It does a lot for T-Tar and Cleaver as well. But like, not as much as Palafin and Lele. Noivern is a good mon, it gives you a good flying type, gives you a decent dragon. This team has no hazard removal, which is a bit of a problem. I think Lele might get defog. I know Finny gets defog. Do all the Tapus get defog? No. Finny does get defog, right? No, I just need to check. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. So... Mortal Spin defog, okay. So, like, Superior, Galvantula, and Noivern, all actually good for this team. Oh, also, if you want a good bug type, you don't need Cleaver anymore, you just bring fucking Galvantula. Problem solved, guys, problem solved. Cleaver is such a waste of space on this team. Like, if you get rid of Cleaver for something, beautiful. Same with Lele. Lele's a bit of a waste of space as well. There are a lot of different fairies. There are a lot of different psychic types. Fuck, you could spread it between the 2 of them. Make this slot the fairy. Make this slot the psychic. Done. Done, done, done. Yeah, I've said why I don't like this team. It's the rocks, the triple rock. Palafin Lele is a bit of anti-synergy. But the rest of them are fine. Defensiveness is really shit for this team as well. Like, Ferroseed Furfrou, really? I guess you can be, like, defensive with, like, Leech Seed shit. T-Tar can be, like, AV. I guess it could be, like, Iron Defense. I don't know. And Lele could be defensive as well. Like, there's potential could be defensives. But again, would you believe it? The lack of Wish comes back. Ferroseed would love Wish. Furfrou would love Wish. Superior would love Wish. Tyranitar, Cleaver would love Wish. Lele would love Wish. This team doesn't have Wish. The more I look at it, the more problems I'm realizing this team has. That makes sense why EINNOD went up, because the two teams that are above it on the rubric I really do not like. I'm gonna move on. From here on out, the teams are actually decent. They're not bad. I'm a fan. DARKYX, look, when this team comes 8th for me and 1st for Emily and Gojo, you know that, like, these teams are actually pretty close together. Okay, let's see. Where do the problems begin for this team? Firstly, something that Gojo and Emily didn't point out, a bit of anti-synergy here with Rillaboom Landorus. You're setting up grassy terrain and clicking Earthquake. They managed to point it out for Finny and, did someone just ping me on Discord? I don't know. They managed to point it out for Finny Drago. Why didn't they point it out for Lando Rillaboom? Unless they did, and I was just oblivious. Number 1. Yeah, no. The only thing they said was, instead of Gothorita, have a different dark type. Yep, well, there's another one. Anti-synergy right there. I do agree. Gothorita. I get what it's doing. Gothorita's a really good low point Pokemon, for the reason that your opponent won't suspect when it comes. Out of nowhere, Gothorita will come to a game, your opponent will be like, oh fuck, forgot about that thing, and then is just going to get absolutely fucked by Shadow Tag. But other than that, there's a Pokemon right above Gothorita that does everything Gothorita does, but better. Just use Slowbro, man. Just use Slowbro. Once again, I would also like to say this team suffers from the issue of, I need a good Wishmon, but I don't have any. Landorus would love Wish. Rotom would love Wish. Tinkaton would love Wish. Toadscrew? Does Toadscrew get recovery? Time to find out. That's Toadscrew, but I'm sure it won't be too different. If it's anything like Tentacruel, I don't think it will. I mean, you can run, like, I guess there's, like, Leech Seed. Yeah. There's, like, Leech Seed, grassy terrain shit, so you can get up to, like, 18 HP back per turn. But even then, it's like, you know what might work? A good Wishmon. Tinkaton, it's a great Pokemon. It is, don't get me wrong, it is a real good Pokemon. But I do like the investment of a Fairy and a Steel type a little bit more. Like, if you ask me what are the 3 most important types, it's Fairy, it's Steel, it's Water. That's like the hidden core. The hidden core because it's in the other cores, but it's if you don't have any of those 3 Pokemon, I'm gonna shit on you. You can get away with no Dragon, you can get away with no Grass and Fire, you can get away with no Ground, Electric, or Flying. It'll be harder for you, but you can get away with it. And Dark Psychic Fighting you can also get away with. You cannot get away with Water, Fairy, and Steel. If you don't have those, you're gonna fucking feel it. Oh, yeah, JYNX. That was another thing. You don't have a fairy. Hints why your team is so low down. TABULARASA had Lele at least. Where was I? Oh wait, is his only steel type Ferroseed? There you go. There's another reason. This team has no good water. This team has no good fairy. This team has no good steel. I'm getting sidetracked. Back to Darky. This team has like an average fairy steel type. You might disagree with me. You might say, oh no, Tinkaton is great for draft. I say they're mid. No dragon, which as I just said, you can get away with, I guess. The offense of this team is really good. I will say that. Rillaboom, Sneasler physically, Landorus physically as well. Pidgeot specially. Maybe I'd have a little bit more invested in special, but even then you can get away with Pidgeot Rotom Heat. Especially when like your physical tank Slowbro is there. Like overall, this team is not bad. This team is pretty good. Like no hazards anywhere to be seen other than like these two rockers. Oh, and Landorus of course. But then Landorus also has to run. Oh, Rotom Heat gets Defog as well, and you have Rapid Spin. Yeah, so like not terrible hazards. Like not the best. Average, meh. Same with removal. The shining light of this team is really its offense. Also, I don't see what the Terra type is doing. I guess it gets rid of a dark weakness for both of you, but other than that, I don't know what it's doing for Aggron. I'm trying to find it. I don't see it. I guess Aggron low points. You had some left over. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The defensive core of this team, not the best. Slowbro and Landorus are your physical tanks most weeks. Otherwise, you don't really have much. Toadschool is your Spadef tank, I guess. Which means get ready to see a lot of Slowbro and Toadschool, because they're coming to pretty much every single game. If I were to, like, most weeks, it's probably going to be, like, Bro Toadschool, because you need the physical special split. Maybe not Slowbro if you're running, like, Fizdef Lando. Which means Rillaboom might come to a few less games because of Toadschool, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. Then, like, Rotom Heat, Sneasler, Pidgeot. Yeah, okay. You can see I'm really not harping on this team as much as I was for TABULARASA, because I think this team is a hell of a lot better. I can definitely see what Gojo and Emily are saying, but I can also, like, pick off more weaknesses that they just chose not to mention. But overall, it is a much better team than the ones below it. Like, there is a massive gap. Next is Penguin God. I'm scrolling on the wrong doc. Penguin God. Okay, Penguin God running with the Sun team. Okay. This team is very similar to Adam's. Let's see where we put Adam. 7th went down to 9th with a score of 66.5. This one is 7th goes down to 8th with a score of 68. So these teams, in my opinion, close to the same thing. Close to the same thing. This team, I think it had a 61 the first time I ranked it, and then it got like 7 points because of basically Screamtail alone. Screamtail was such a big trade for Penguin God. I don't know how this thing wasn't on the team sooner, because without it there was no fairy, without it there was no cleric, without it the defensive core was worse, without it there was no psychic. I don't know if I said that. I might have said that. I probably said that. But you get the point. Like, this team is helped monumentally by Screamtail. It is a Sun team. It is a Sun team. And you know my weather of opinion. My opinion of weather is usually pretty average. But I don't hate this one. Walking Wake, Great Tusk, same thing. Torkoal, same thing. This team has Mega Kangaskhan, which is good. It's better than Adam because it has more physical pressure. Aegislash is good. It gives a good defensive mon. Screamtail, both of them have Screamtail. Screamtail is so monumental to this team. One thing I will say is, why does this team have 3 grass types? Like, I know I harped on Adam and said, oh, you need a grass type on your team, a good chlorophyll grass type. This isn't quite what I had in mind. Scavilion's fine. Gives you a second fire, which I said you would like. Gives you a good chlorophyll mon, which is something else that I like. But past that, Hazui and Electrode, bro, just picking. Why? Why the grass type? Penguin said it's because he has a lot of ground weakness, which is fair enough when your flying type is Oricorio. That is your only ground immunity. So it's just, that does really suck. Like, having your ground immunity be Oricorio on a sun team. Come on. When you're on a sun team, you need really good immunity or resist to the things sun is weak to. Water, ground, rock, basically, are the main ones. Same with a rain team, you need good resistance to grass and electric. Electric, easily dealt with. Grass is, it's not too bad. Grass is, like, mostly neutral. So this team actually does a good job of dealing with its weaknesses, because it's close to an OU rain team. This team does not. This team's biggest weakness is ground, and Penguin God just said, oh yeah, we'll chuck on 3 grass types and Oricorio looks good. Okay, cool, that's whatever. But are you just, you're doing one of 2 things there. You're either saying, yeah, I'm gonna buff up the prep doc and make it look like I have good ground resist, when in reality I don't. Either that, or you're actually planning to bring these shitty-ass Pokemon every fucking week. Either way, it doesn't look too good. I think I've missed out on talking... Oh no, I have talked about Terra types quite a bit. Okay, well, we'll talk about the Terra type anyway. Fighting type Great Tusk is really good. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's like a truck. Oricorio and Electrode. Does Oricorio get Focus Blast, or does it get any fighting move for that matter? I guess it doesn't need to, because it can just click Terra Blast. What is fighting needed for on Oricorio? Electric, rock... Okay, rock types, I guess. Is that it? Perhaps. Also Reversal. That's a fun move. Yeah, okay. And Electrode might get Focus Blast. I'm not sure. Fighting... Nothing. Okay. I mean, Terra Blast for both of those things, but still, doesn't bode too well for me. But yeah, I can give it the Great Tusk. Still, I would say, because, what's his face? Duke of Tacos looked to trade, Steel for fighting. Steel I don't even think is that bad for Espathra. Like, I get that it's not the best. It's still pretty good. It's not quite fairy or fighting for Dazzling Gleams and, Terra Blasts. But, look, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can have, like, Flash Cannon, which will have a game or 2 where it's good. I've definitely seen Steel-type Espathra before. I wouldn't take the trade if I was Penguin. Because what are you giving Steel-type to? That's just more ground weakness. You do not need that. But yeah, it's same. Like, if you looked at Adam's power rank bit, this one's very similar. Like, I personally think this one's a little bit better than Adam's. I think I gave them, like, the same score, like, of, like, 5, because it's an average Sun team. But I think I'd probably put Penguin God slightly above Adam. I just like it a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I need to say. I'm rambling a lot. Am I like 40 minutes in and only halfway through? Bro, the other video was only 40 minutes long. Alright, RICHZ Crackers. Alright, you complimented me yesterday. Alright, this team. This isn't an issue, more so I'm scared for you. You have Coco with Bundle, Iron Treads, and Iron Moth. Don't get me wrong, that is a force to be reckoned with. That is absolutely shit terrifying. But one thing, don't get caught up in it. This is the same as the weather teams. If you get too caught up in your weather, such as JYNX has, then you're going to end up losing battles because your opponent just preps well for electric terrain. Don't let that happen. Don't let it happen, my friend. Accept that these Pokemon work really well outside of the terrain as well, and that you don't typically need the terrain to win games. And you'll be fine. Orthworm is really good here. Being able to get Shedtails into Baxcalibur, or really any of these fucking Pokemon. Anything on this team Shedtailing into is bullshit scary. I'll actually say I like Dottler as a 1-point Pokemon because it allows you to bring like screens or webs one week. And again, if this team gets webs up, it's already so fast. But now it would be like untouchable at levels of speed if it got webs up. The only like proper issue I have with this team is the lack of defense. You're running Glowking Orthworm, again, Orthworm with Love Wish, this team doesn't have it. But overall, like, offensively, good fucking luck. You are not dealing with everything on this team offensively. One of the Pokemon is going to slip through the cracks at least. At least. Whether it's Baxcalibur, Iron Bundle. Also, I don't think the double Ice type is that much of a problem because this one is like clicking Freeze Dry. This one's clicking whatever its fucking ice move is. Icicle Crash, Ice Spinner, I don't even know. You know what I'm saying though. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, this team just, wow, it is probably the most terrifying team out of everything here. Like, 3 of the best Paradox Pokemon, Baxcalibur and Tapu Koko. Need I say more? I think you could have switched out Moltres, because, I'll be real, Moltres ain't coming. Moltres ain't coming to too many games. When you have Bundle, Moth, and Koko, Moltres isn't too important. I think the Flying type is good, I think the Dark type is good. A Pokemon like Mandibuzz, I know Mandibuzz is a hell of a lot more expensive than Moltres. And you do have like these 2 1-point Pokemon down here. So, it's not a great example. But a Pokemon like Moltres, it's a hell of a lot more bulky. It gives you reliable physical... It gives you a reliable physical Deathmon. Because Orthworm is not very reliable, I'll be real with you. So that's what I want from Moltres' slot. I want a very good physical tank with like reliable recovery, because Orthworm isn't going to provide that for you. Orthworm is here to click Shed Tail, and then like that's what it does for the whole game. Like clicks rocks, clicks spikes. Maybe, might not be able to get both of them off, but it clicks like that kind of stuff. Clicks Shed Tail, goes below 50% health, and that's about it. Maybe it'll switch into an Earthquake, which this team very much likes, because of you, and you. So, that's good. But overall, Orthworm is not going to be a reliable physical tank. You need a better physical tank than Orthworm, and I think Galar Moltres is the perfect time to be able to pick one up. Sure, Mandibuzz is a hell of a lot more expensive than Moltres and can't really be afforded. but you get the point that I'm trying to get across via Metabuzz. Like, this team doesn't necessarily need a dark type. I mean, you already are missing the fighting type from the core, and Slowking isn't even an offensive psychic type, which in my opinion that core is meant to be 3 massive brutally offensive Pokemon. But like, I want to see what Emily and Gojo had to say about this team. Which one is it? What is it? Tokyo City, whatever that's third Pokemon was. 5th, 6th. Oh wait, tie for 5th. Okay. Once again, we have a team featuring Webs and Shedtail. Okay, I would hardly say this is a Webs team. Dottler is coming to like 1 game this fucking season. Alongside several potent offensive threats through a much more balanced approach to the idea this time, as it also features Quark Drive plus Electric Surge Core. Keep up with this team defensively will be a difficult task for virtually every team, as the sheer power of this team's offense threatens to tear a hole in the fattest defensive cores. I do question Terra Ground. I don't know when that Terra was picked, but I'm just going to assume it was like, I need a Terra type, why not? Terra Dragon, yeah, Terra Ice, yeah. Okay, yeah. Why is Dottler being brought up twice? Dottler is like a 1-point fucking Pokemon. Why are you acting like Dottler is gonna come every single week? Yeah, when Dottler comes, it's gonna click webs and die. It's only gonna come like once. The rest of the team is sound, even if I find Slowking and Iron Treads a bit unsubstantial as the defensive backbone. I don't know if I'd say yeah, this team, like, it harped on Dottler. I don't know why. It didn't really say anything too negative here. My negative is really Galarian Moltres, which didn't even get a mention here, which probably means it's not very useful. Yeah, I feel like they were very uninformative with that. I'll move on to Selenium now, because I spent 8 fucking minutes on that team. Okay, Selenium, where are you? Here we are. This team got rated very lowly by them, if I remember correctly, and I've got them in 5th. I also know Taco was rated very lowly. Oh, that's the Espatho team. 11th, yeah, second last. And I'm like, oh, 5th. 5th going 4th. Why do I think this team is 5th going 4th? Because I think its offensiveness is so brutal. It is so brutal. Iron Valiant Chi-Yu will tear up most teams, I'll be real. Dracovish is good as well. If you give that thing a scarf, it will go eat up everything. And Ursaluna, that thing just hits like a truck. Honestly, most weeks, you can just have Ursaluna lead, click like fucking Facade and Earthquake, obliterate as much of your opponent as possible, and then just, same with like Dracovish, just use like the slow Dracovish Ursaluna, tear off as much of your opponent as possible, and then Iron Valiant just cleans. Iron Valiant just like sweeps up the rest of the mess. Skarmory and Tentacruel make up a brilliant physical special defensive core. They both have hazards, rocks, spikes, T-spikes. I think the thing said, oh, I don't like that Skarmory's going to have to click Defog. Skarmory probably won't have to click Defog all that much, because Tentacruel is going to be coming to most games, and it is going to have Rapid Spin in most games. Silvally, look, on most teams, Silvally is just a good pick. It gives more. It just gives more. It just has more that it can do. It's another defogger. It is a Pokemon in the back that could be offensive or defensive for whatever the team needs. I don't see a problem. Sure, I look at Shedinja, Tropius, and Masquerain and say, yeah, none of those 3 Pokemon are all that potent. Especially Tropius. But I see Shedinja coming to like a game and the opponent just not expecting it, and it does really well. I can see Masquerain coming to a game and just clicking webs and the opponent not having anything for it, and it does really well. Silvally, again, will come to a game, or will come to multiple games, in fact, and it will do really, really well. I really like this team. I want to see the negatives that Gojo and Emily had to say about it, because I personally think that team is really good. This is a person who likes big numbers. The first 2 rows are Pokemon that hit extremely hard. Yeah, pretty much. Webs complement it fairly well. Speed tiers need help. I understand, but I think like 116 and 100, those are like the 2 fast boys. I mean, 100 isn't the fastest, but it's fast enough. Yeah, you two are... Okay, I guess I see what you mean. This team would love webs, and it does have webs, although Masquerain isn't the most reliable webber. Speed tiers need help. Fairy Terra. Wait, it's not Fairy. Normal Terra. I don't know why I read the word Fairy when it wasn't even there. I mean... Normal Terra is fine. I don't know why you'd give it to Silvally. That seems like an anti-strategy, because the whole thing of Silvally is it can be whatever type it wants. And now you're just telling your opponent, hey, I'm gonna be normal. Why would you even choose normal Silvally out of all of them? I mean, I get it, like, for 1 or 2 games, but, like, nah. I think the Terra type, while serving the interest of making of... Yeah, I've already read that. Hazards are decent, a good spinner in Tentacruel, as well as 2 solid defoggers, although it does force Skarmory to come to most games to provide the hazard support for the rest of the team. Okay. Okay. So, they basically just said this team is going to lose games because it's going to be too slow. I understand that, but at the same time, I don't think this team is too slow. Like, Chiyu Scarf with Iron Valiant is probably all the speed you really need without webs. And then Silvally can do some set-up shenanigans. Dracovish could run a Scarf if it needs, otherwise it can just hit hard. Ursaluna hits hard regardless. Like, I get what they're saying, but I don't think it's that big of a problem. Have I even said a negative about this team? I think so. I'll hope so. Duke of Tacos. Okay, this is a really hard team to rank, I'll be honest. Because you look at it and you say, this team is a fucking gimmick team. This team is here for the gimmick. Ooh, Disguised Mimikyu. Ooh, Espathra. Ooh, Shedtail. Ooh, Prankster. Ooh, Hazard Set. Unaware. Like, it's... This team is called gimmick. This team is called gimmick. I think the entire plan is Cyclizar is going to Shedtail into Espathra, Scizor, or Mimikyu, and it's going to attempt to sweep. And if the opponent does well at prepping for any of those 3 Pokemon, then the general strategy is just going to be a pain in the ass. Thundurus is great here. It clicks things like Thunder Wave to fuck up your opponent's day. But it could also be like a nasty plot sweep. It could be a bulk up sweep. So that's also a potential Cyclizarmon. Heatran and Gastrodon, they look like the 2 big tanks. This team, again, would love Wish, but at the same time, it's not as necessary. I mean, I guess it's really good for, like, Heatran. But other than that, the team doesn't need it too badly. Maybe Heatran Thundy. But, like, everything else kind of heals itself. Scissor can be defensive in a lot of weeks as well. I do not like this team's hazard removal to hazard setup ratio. This team has, 2 rockers and a spiker. Oh no, there's rapid spin there and cyclers are. I'm stupid. And defog. Yeah, okay, the hazard setting is a bit lackluster. The removal is good enough. Honestly, this team will just win a lot of games because it just brings us Espathra. Espathra isn't the worst thing in the world, but I mean, we've seen with Emily, it's really hard to prep for. I think I've fought an Espathra like once, and in that game it was like second on the kill board. Only second on my Reggie Drago, bitches! But like, it was second on the kill board. I spent most of my prep trying to deal with like Espathra Iron Bundle duo. And yeah, Espathra still almost 6-0'd swept me, because it's an Espathra. Also because my Espathra switch-in got frozen on the first turn of the battle by Iron Bundle. Yes, it was meant to switch into both Iron Bundle and Espathra. Look, it was a fun set, okay? It was a fun set. It was like Perish Song shenanigans for Espathra to force it out. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, the point of a power rank is to say how well you think a team is going to do within the season, excluding the battler's battle prowess. And just looking at this team alone, I already know. Shed-tail cyclers are in the Espathra. Shed-tail cyclers are in the Mimikyu. Shed-tail cyclers are in the Thundi or Scissor or whoever fucking needs it is going to wreak havoc. With every single Pokemon is gimmicky enough that it can come to a game or two. Heatran and Gastrodon, they cover each other's weaknesses defensively as well, which is really, really nice. I'm gonna read what they said about this team, because they put it right next to it. And they said that it's very difficult to rank because it's not conventional. And I agree. This team isn't conventional. I think I've got it like right in the middle on my personal opinion. And I think that is the perfect place to put it. Where do they have it? 10th. I don't think 10th is a good place. I think for a team so unconventional, the middle is the only correct answer. Because this team has the potential to win all of its games by being so hard to prep for, and it has the potential to lose all of its games because it's so unconventional. And I think a team like that always ends up being around about average. The rubric ended up giving it a little bit more, but me personally put it around that middle bit. It is a very unconventional team, I have to agree. It has a lot of gimmick mons, Cyclizar, Thundi, Crocodile, Spidops. So I get what they're saying, but at the same time, I think this team, it has decent defense, decent offense, not the best in the world for either, but good enough. Decent hazards, it's very decent, very, very decent. I'm intrigued to see where it places by the end of the season. Okay, Gundham. Now I will be honest, I did help with this team. I did help a little bit. But I will also say, I was like, oh, Gundham, what's your first pick gonna be? Do you know? And Gundham was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking Excadrill, and in my head I was like, fucking weather. I was like, god damn it. Why do you want to do weather? Why? But here we are. This team is very good. I think it's a little bit slow, like Excadrill without the sand isn't very fast, Primarina's a bit slow, Moltres is like 90, Vikavolt is slow, but it does provide webs to the rest of the team, which is really, really good. Really good. Webs is beautiful here. It gives Excadrill more speed. It means it might not have to run Scarf in a lot of weeks, which Sandforce Life Orb. Primarina as well might be able to run Specs more frequently if it isn't bound by, like, having to run bulk or, like... You don't really see Scarf Primarinas. I think I've fought, like, 1 or 2. Iron Leaves, again, just becomes so much faster with webs. Moltres becomes faster with webs. Polt doesn't really need it, but, you know. I think, obviously, Rampardos and Bunnelby don't really do much for the team. They're just sentimental mons. I was completely aware that those two things were going to be picked regardless of what I said. So, you know, we'll rank this team as a 9 Pokemon team. Umbreon is great. Umbreon is the Wish Cleric this team really needs. Primarina loves Wish. Gigalith loves Wish. Vikavolt has Roost, but having Wish is always nice as well. Moltres probably doesn't care too much, but it's nice. Iron Leaves at Polt, and Excadrill does like Wish. It means it can come in early, mid, and late game, and still be fine with a lot of health. Umbreon's a great cleric that a lot of the teams in this division have struggled with. I'm glad that this team does have that. The Fairy Dragon Steel Core goes hard, I'll be real. Waterfire Grass goes hard. Gojo's main problem with this team was Iron Leaves, and I will admit Iron Leaves is a little bit out of place here. Like, all of the other mons, bar like the bottom row, even Hitmonchan fits because it's a fighting type. Every single Pokemon here makes a lot of sense, except for Iron Leaves. I will admit, Iron Leaves doesn't make the most sense. I think it's good enough, but I see where he's coming from. I think it's good enough. It's kind of around the speed tier that the team needs. It's the perfect type for the team. It needed a grass type. It needed a psychic type. It's a good physical attacker, again, something the team needed. It was barring a lot on special offense from Vikavolt, Primarina, Moltres, and sure, Polt can do both, but you get what I mean. It was really relying on Excadrill for physical offense, and what's the problem with that? I've said it multiple times. That relies on the sand too much. You need to be able to win in and out of weather. So I think Iron Leaves is, like, good for the team, but at the same time bad for the team, if you know what I mean. Like, it fits, but it doesn't. It's good enough, in my opinion. Hazards and hazard removal is fine. Like, 2 reliable rockers and a Weber with, like, a reliable defogger and rapid spinner is good. The offense, I've already said, is great. Defense is a little bit more difficult to pinpoint. I mean, Gigalith is going to be like a physical tank every single week, I believe. I don't know what its Spadef is. I mean, it could be a Spadef tank as well. Probably a little bit less effectively, but still could be. Umbreon is the Spadef tank. But then Primarina and Moltres can also, like, work as physical or special defense mons as well. So can Vikavolt. So this team's defense and offense is beautiful. Momentum is also really good. You have Vikavolt, Moltres, Primarina, Dragapult, even Umbreon with Baton Pass is good. Priorities, you have Sucker Punch on Dragapult. That's about it. Like, okay. Priority is a little bit hard. Again, I'll say the Terra Captain is just, it's alright. In the thing, they suggest Ghost, but Big Pharma has Ghost. I don't know if Pharma took Ghost before or after Gundam took Psychic. If they took it after Gundam took Psychic, then it's a valid point. Yeah, Gundam should have taken Ghost and just put it on Dragapult and said, fuck you all. But otherwise, what do you want them to do? I mean, like, I actually think it's not too out of this world for Gundam and Pharma to trade Psychic for Ghost. I mean, if Gundam gets Ghost, they put it on Polt, and probably... Who else? Who else would like it? It has to be 11 points. I don't know who else would like Ghost. So, you know, whatever. But then Big Pharma, Psychic is still good for Chine Pow. I mean, it's not an immunity, but a resist is a resist, I guess. And then you can run like Glow King. I think, wait, that's more than 30, isn't it? Leave me alone. But yeah, I think the Terror Captain is meh. I think Iron Leaves is meh. And I mean, a meh Terror Captain makes sense. I know Gundham picked Psychic very late in the round, or very late in the draft. So they probably just picked up whatever was left. Yeah, it makes sense why this team is so high. I do really like how this team doesn't rely too much on weather, but then again it might because of Iron Leaves being the only other physical offense. I guess Pulk can be like a D-Dance mon in a lot of weeks, or just Choice Band because it's so fast. Yeah, I'm intrigued. This team will win games. It'll win games. Next, I have DIALPO. Look, this one's very biased of me. This one is very, very biased of me. I just love this team. Keldeo, Jirachi, Zarude, Zeraora. I mean, I was personally thinking of going Keldeo, Zeraora as my first two picks. I was thinking of picking Jirachi. I did end up picking Jugalji. Yeah, I really like this team. It does everything it needs to, one way or another. I think it does have a little bit of a weird physical to special split. Zeraora and Zarude are the physical threats. Everything else is a little bit special. I mean, Jirachi can be a physical threat too, I guess. Yeah, Jirachi, Zarude, and Zeraora, physical threats. Everything else is special, which is okay. I think Jirachi and a little... Oh no, Togekiss exists. I was going to say that Jirachi is going to be the cleric. I don't necessarily think so when you have two Wishmons, which is really good. Hazards, this team has like multiple rockers. It has T-Spiker, so that's pretty good. Removal is a little bit less good. You're relying on Claydol and Togekiss, which means in a lot of weeks, Claydol is going to be forced to come to games it doesn't want to. Also because it's a ground type, by the way. Claydol's the kind of Pokemon that if it ever ends up on a team, it ends up being like forced to a heap of games because it has to click Rapid Spin or it has to be a ground type. And it's a Pokemon that you don't want to have to force to every game, but it always happens to happen to Claydol. Electric type Zeraora and Rotom Frost, that actually makes a hell of a lot of sense, and Knuckle Stack is just the point left over. Yeah, getting at this point in the draft, there's like really not much negative to say about teams. I'll be honest, I like everything here. There's not much negative to say. I tried to come up with negatives, and even then I was like, it's alright, like, it's not actually that bad, it's okay. So my guy, DIALPO, you've earned second. And JANGOD, wow, I don't even have to scroll, I can just stay seated. Yeah, I don't know if it's JANGOD or JANGOD. Jan, like German pronunciation or something. But JANGOD, Jan, Jan. God has picked. We have Mega Mawile and Roaring Moon. That makes up our offensive duo here, and I think that is quite a brutal offensive duo. Like, that is your Fairy Dragon Steel all in one. Ooh, that goes hard. With Rotom Wash being able to pivot into them really effectively as well. goes even harder. It goes even harder. Rotom Wash is going to lure in the grass types to be able to Volt Switch into a Flying Terror Roaring Moon with booster energy and just acrobatics the fuck out of something. Or better yet, Dragon Dance on the turn the grass type is forced to switch out. So then you're at like +2 attack or +2 speed with +1 of the other stat. And then acrobatics it will sweep. It will sweep. I expect to see that at least once this season. The Rotom switch into D-Dance, Roaring Moon on a grass type, and absolutely sweeping. Victini is the underrated one here, you know? Victini is the underrated one. Everyone's going to focus on Mega Mawile. Everyone is going to focus on Roaring Moon. Everyone is going to forget that choice-banded V-Create Victini tears it up. Or Choice Scarf Victini tears it up. That thing is a menace. That is a menace, and that is not a Pokemon you sleep on. Just because it's the 4th pick down, just because it's not Mega Mawile and Roaring Moon, does not mean you sleep on the boy Victini. And Buzzwole as well. Buzzwole can go hard. The offensiveness of this team is unparalleled. The only issue I have is that it's too physical. They're all physical attackers. You can't bring all 4 of them every week. That's just weird. Nidoking is good here. It avoids the ground weakness with Terra Flying, so the Terra type is beautiful on this team. Nidoking's going to end up coming to a hell of a lot of games because it is just the special attacker of the team. But, like, there are going to be... I think most weeks the team is going to look something like Roaring Moon, Mega Mawile, Victini, Rotom, Nidoking. Rotom's going to be forced to be like a physical tank, and then Blissey as like the special tank. But that's not bad. That isn't bad by any means. And then like Buzzwole would switch out one of the physical threats in a lot of weeks. Xatu might come in some games to be able to click Defog where Rotom wants to be like more offensive. So the team makes a lot of sense. Xatu, Leafeon, and Corsola don't really matter. Some of the problems that were said, more so by Emily, apparently Gojo really liked this team. Thank you, Gojo, for agreeing with me. They got 4th, correct? Yes. Fairy Dragon Steel Core is beautiful. A lot of pivoting, yep. I like the offensive potential, and the speed tiers are some of the better ones in the division so far. Lack of hazard control outside of Rotom Defog. Yeah. I agree with that, I agree. 4 Rockers, and 2 of them don't want to run Stealth Rocks, Mawile and Nidoking. Okay, and Blissey and Corsola. Okay, Corsola's not coming to games. Blissey will come to a lot of games. Blissey will probably be an active rocker. I think Nidoqueen could potentially be a little bit better because it's more comfortable clicking hazards, but like you need the special offense, so at the same time I kind of like Nidoking more. I don't think the lack of hazards is a problem. I think the lack of defog is a problem. That's really the only issue with this team, hazards. Other than hazards, this team does almost everything beautifully. Hazards and physical special split. Hazards and physical special split. And now the more I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I kind of like Dialpo a little bit more. They got the same score. So they're really interchangeable, those two. Yeah, I think I'm ready to leave it off there. I think I've been doing this video for more than an hour now, which just means I've been blabbering a hell of a lot more. Thank you all for watching. I'm sorry if I ripped into your team too much, or if I didn't talk about it enough, but I haven't shut the fuck up, so I probably have talked about it enough. Thank you, bye. Mwah.